Imagine yourself as more than just a body with thoughts and emotions. Imagine that you are a field of energy, constantly interacting with the environment around you. Every thought you think, every feeling you experience, and every word you speak radiates a certain frequency. This frequency does not simply stay within you. It extends outward, shaping not only how you feel, but also how the world responds to you. Now think about the moments when you find yourself complaining. It could be about the weather, your job, traffic, or even the state of the world. Complaining may feel like a natural way to express frustration or cope with discomfort, but beneath the surface, it creates much more than a temporary emotional release. At its core, complaining is a form of resistance, a subtle rejection of what is happening in the present moment. It is a declaration, often unconscious, that something should be different, that what currently exists is unacceptable. And it is this resistance that begins to interfere with the flow of energy within and around you. Instead of being open and aligned with life's natural rhythms, the act of complaining anchors you into a state of disconnection from the present. This disconnection builds friction in your energetic field, creating tension that is often felt physically, emotionally, and spiritually. While complaining might seem like a harmless habit, it has measurable effects on the body and mind. Neuroscience tells us that the brain is designed with a negativity bias, meaning it is naturally more responsive to unpleasant experiences. This tendency is rooted in evolution, a way to keep us safe by remembering danger. But when we repeatedly engage in complaining, we reinforce this bias. The brain begins to hardwire patterns that make it easier to focus on what's wrong rather than what's right. Over time, this habit reshapes our perception of the world. The more we complain, the more problems we seem to notice. On a physical level, complaining triggers the body's stress response. When you complain, the amygdala, which is responsible for processing emotions, sends signals to release cortisol, the hormone associated with stress. While cortisol can be helpful in moments of immediate danger, chronic exposure to it is harmful. Elevated cortisol levels over time can weaken the immune system, disrupt digestion, increase inflammation, and even affect the heart. The body begins to carry the burden of unresolved tension, often manifesting as fatigue, chronic pain, or muscle stiffness. Emotionally, the habit of complaining can lead to a sense of helplessness or low motivation, making it harder to feel inspired or hopeful. Energetically, every word of complaint sends out a low-frequency signal. These signals collect in your auric field, which is the energy field that surrounds your physical body. When the energy is flowing harmoniously, you feel grounded, peaceful, and aligned. But when that energy becomes clogged by ongoing negativity, the flow becomes sluggish. You might feel stuck, emotionally heavy, or disconnected from your sense of purpose. These are all signs that the habit of complaining has begun to alter your vibration. In many spiritual traditions, this low-frequency energy is considered to be disruptive not only to personal well-being, but also to the spaces we inhabit. Each person radiates energy, and when complaints are constant, this energy becomes contagious. In families, workplaces, and social groups, one person's complaints can create a ripple effect, shifting the mood of everyone around them. In small environments especially, such as homes or offices, the energy of complaints begins to settle into the space, affecting the emotional atmosphere in subtle but significant ways. You might notice that certain places feel tense or draining. Often, it's not the physical layout that creates the sensation, but the accumulation of emotional energy, especially the energy of persistent dissatisfaction. In energetic healing practices, chronic complaining is often linked to blockages in specific energy centers. For instance, the throat chakra, which governs communication, can become overwhelmed when our words are used to release tension without clarity or awareness. Similarly, the solar plexus chakra, which is associated with confidence and personal power, may become weakened when our attention is constantly drawn to what's wrong or what's lacking. When these centers are out of balance, it affects not just how we express ourselves, but also how empowered we feel in our daily lives. The longer this habit continues, the more it becomes a cycle. Complaining lowers your frequency. That lower frequency then attracts experiences that confirm the negative lens you're seeing through. In this way, complaining becomes a feedback loop. The more you complain, the more reasons you seem to have to complain. Without realizing it, you begin tuning your energy to a station that only plays discontent. This vibration not only colors your perception, but also limits your potential for positive change. However, awareness is the first step toward transformation. Simply noticing when you're complaining, without judgment, can begin to shift the pattern. Most people don't realize how often they complain because it becomes automatic. But the moment you bring conscious attention to your words, you introduce choice. You begin to ask, is this worth expressing? Is there another way to frame this experience? That gap between impulse and awareness is where healing begins. Now that we understand the energetic and physiological impact of complaining, the next question is, how do we shift from this habit into something more aligned with balance and harmony? The process begins with awareness, but it doesn't stop there. Awareness is the opening, the moment we pause and recognize the pattern. From that space, we can make conscious decisions that redirect our energy. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to do this is through the act of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean we approve of everything or avoid change. It means we meet the present moment without resistance. When we accept what is, even briefly, we allow energy to move freely again. We soften the tension in the body, we relax the mind, and we reduce the urge to project frustration outward. This small shift in mindset, moving from "why is this happening to me" to "this is what is happening now," can feel subtle, but it changes everything. It invites us to become participants in the flow of life, rather than opponents of it. In spiritual traditions like Taoism, this is described as moving with the current, not against it. And in doing so, we conserve energy that would otherwise be spent on mental resistance. That energy becomes available for clarity, compassion, and creative action. Another tool for transformation is gratitude. Gratitude is not just an emotional response to something positive. It's a practice and a frequency. When we intentionally focus on what's working, what we appreciate, or what brings us even the smallest sense of peace, we raise our vibration. This raised vibration recalibrates the energy field, clearing away the dense residues left by habitual complaint. When you begin to train the mind to notice what is good, even in difficult moments, you start shifting the entire emotional landscape of your life. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be elaborate. It could be as simple as taking one moment before bed to silently acknowledge 3 things that felt supportive during the day. It might be the warmth of sunlight on your skin, a kind word from a stranger, or even your ability to breathe through a stressful moment. These aren't big, dramatic events, but they hold real energetic value. Over time, your attention shifts, and your nervous system begins to relax in response to this consistent focus on the nourishing rather than the lacking. Visualization can also support this process. Take time each day to imagine yourself surrounded by an energy of ease, of appreciation, of calm presence. See yourself moving through your day with grace and resilience, speaking words that uplift rather than drain. This form of mental rehearsal strengthens new neural pathways and supports a shift in vibration. The more vividly you imagine a peaceful, balanced inner world, the more likely your outer world begins to reflect it. Of course, shifting old habits takes time. Complaining often becomes a reflex, a default setting of the mind when faced with discomfort or inconvenience. So the goal isn't perfection. The goal is consistency. It's okay to notice a complaint rising. You don't have to suppress it. Instead, observe it like a cloud passing through the sky. Ask yourself, what's underneath this? What am I really needing or resisting in this moment? This kind of inquiry builds emotional intelligence and fosters inner growth. Eventually, you'll begin to recognize patterns. Perhaps you complain more when you're tired or hungry or feeling unsupported. These insights are valuable. They show you where attention is needed, not to judge yourself, but to meet yourself with care. And in doing so, you stop feeding the complaint and start nourishing the root cause. As your relationship with complaint begins to change, so does your energetic presence. People may begin to notice something different about you, more calmness in your tone, more patience in your reactions, more softness in your energy. And what you'll begin to notice in return is that your environment starts responding to this new version of you. Conversations become easier. Conflict begins to lessen. Opportunities seem to come more smoothly. This isn't magic, it's energetic alignment. You're no longer transmitting friction into the world, you're emitting coherence. This state of coherence allows you to experience synchronicity more often. Those meaningful coincidences that seem too aligned to be random. When your energy becomes steady, life begins to mirror that steadiness back to you. This is why so many spiritual traditions emphasize practices of presence, mindfulness, and intentional thought. They are not just tools for inner peace, they are the foundations for manifesting outer peace as well. And so, the transformation begins, not with grand declarations, but with small, repeated choices. Each time you choose to breathe instead of react, to acknowledge instead of resist, to appreciate instead of complain, you realign with the flow of life. You begin to remember that you are not separate from this flow, but an active participant in it. This shift in understanding is what opens the doorway to a deeper, more grounded sense of well-being. Remember, your words are not just sounds. They are carriers of energy. Each word you speak creates a ripple. So let your language become a tool for healing. Let your thoughts become a sanctuary of clarity. Let your presence become a calming force not only for yourself, but for the world around you. In choosing presence over complaint, gratitude over criticism, and clarity over reaction, you are not only restoring your energy, you are also contributing to the energetic upliftment of the collective. Thank you for watching. Stay grounded, stay aware, and stay connected to your true energy.